Hey everybody, this is the Feature. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Hunter Willis, and the Feature is, of course, Apptio's roll-up of our what's new, what's coming product updates for Apptio and our solutions. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the agenda. I want to touch on the fact that the past couple of episodes, we've done a roll-up of the information, the releases that we've had in 2022, and some of the great releases that are coming, specifically around our TBMC conference that we had, where we really had keynotes and demonstrations, right, and surface the information about kind of our roadmap and some of the new solutions that we're announcing and features that we're announcing for this month and into Q1 of next year. So wanted to touch today on what's new with Cloudability and what's new with Target Process, and then we're going to go into the specifics of one of the features that we've already talked about, which was the solution library templates that exist within Apptio BI. And we had that conversation with Curtis Michael, a PM for Apptio BI. So great conversation. Look forward to sharing that with you. And we're going to do a reInvent wrap-up from Apptio's time at reInvent, both our session, our booth, and talk about some of the information there. So without further ado, I'm going to start by diving into Cloudability. Today, I'm going to talk about the Cloudability container cost amortization. And this is because this was a really requested feature. A lot of our customers are very enthusiastic about this. And what this is doing is allowing you to switch the cost basis within the container cost allocation feature from cash to amortized, right? Enabling users to represent the full cost of Kubernetes clusters, including consumed, reserved instances, and savings plans, right? And then you can allocate this cost now to the underlying namespaces, services, and labels within the feature. This is, again, this was really a big high priority request from some of our biggest customers. And we really feel this speaks to the importance of, these underlying FinOps processes and applying those to containerized infrastructure. So in short, what we're really doing, basically allowing you to see how much savings you're getting through those reserved instances, through savings plans, right, in Cloudability, versus that list cost that you would be paying for containers, and just really easily being able to surface and share that data to prove out those savings that, and the additional value that you're providing for your organization. Next, we're going to pop over to Apptio 1 and Target Process and the data integration between the two. Right, and this is specifically talking about really it touches on a lot of different information, but a lot of it is around IT planning and being able to surface target process information and IT planning, but also being able to pull the budget information from Apptio 1 into Target Process, right? And again, Target Process is our enterprise agile solution, allowing you to not just keep track of those enterprise agile workloads, but also being able to keep track of their progress and roll up the value that they're bringing to the organization. So accurately kind of keep track of that cost and the value that your agile workflows within your portfolio are bringing, and roll that up at a portfolio level. And being able to tie that into Apptio 1 is crucial, because we're now able to surface your existing budget information in Apptio 1 in Target Process, right, and relay the actual work streams that you have going on to that budget information. Very, very important. And also bringing Apptio again together as a more holistic, right, streamlined platform where you don't have to, export so much and import data, etc., where the solutions are just working across one another. And we're going to talk more about that here too with Apptio BI and the features that are rolling into that. So I had a great conversation with Curtis Michael, specifically around those content library updates. And this is, again, where we're building out this content library. There's basically templated reporting that you can just connect to the existing data once you have your solution set up, right? Which brings a lot faster time to value in Apptio BI, being able to really easily surface pre-structured reports. So Curtis is going to tell us all about it and give us some examples too. Look forward to this conversation. Excited to share it with you. All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us, Curtis. So we have Curtis Michael on the line here with us, and he's going to talk to us today about some of the recent enhancements that have happened with Apptio BI. Curtis is a product manager with Apptio BI here at Apptio. So Curtis, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then we'll dive into to these features for Apptio BI.
Sounds good. Appreciate the invite, Hunter. So I just wanted to set some context for people that aren't familiar with Apptio BI. So For those that don't know, we are the future reporting layer for all of Apptio's products that ultimately enable not just administrators, but end users to create, manage, and collaborate on reports and insights across all of Apptio's products in a single central location. So what I'm specifically focused on is the cloudability customers and their needs as it relates to reporting and analytics, and then the integration across all of Apptio's products.
That's awesome. And I love Apptio BI. I love how easy it is to connect and pull data from all of our solutions, surface that and distribute it for customers. And it has like a unified interface, so you don't have to go into different products to be able to build those reports, man. I love what your team is up to. So talk to us today. We're going to talk about the content library today, right? You've been working really hard with your team to deliver more features there, and more stuff is rolled out. But talk to us about some of the latest things that have pulled into the content library for Apptio BI, and tell us what it is.
Yeah, certainly. So for those that aren't familiar, Apptio has been in business for about 15 years, and we have tons and tons of customers. So over those years, we've gathered tons of like common use cases that our customers use Apptio products to solve. So we collated all of those use cases and built them into what we call Apptio authored content in Apptio BI, which is essentially like a template or an out of the box piece of content that comes pre-configured. So when you open up one of these reports, it automatically populates with your organization's data, and it ultimately addresses like those common use cases, but is also designed for like those common personas that Apptio addresses. So those are folks in IT, the operators, and then those cloud personas. And this is especially helpful for first accelerating your ability to understand some of these common use cases to action within technology. So that's like your on-prem infrastructure, your cloud, SaaS, etc. And then to immediately start socializing the cost of technology across your organization to your end users, etc. And BI, so it's very straightforward. Once you go onto the reports page, you can see a carousel of these thumbnailed reports that are based off of these different personas and use cases. So there's example reports like the cloud operations dashboard, the compute service owner, executive view cloud costs, et cetera, et cetera. And once you access these, you can get pretty granular with how you can find this content to answer your most pressing questions. So you can search and filter by product. And then we do look to add more granular, like use case based and persona based navigation in the future to ultimately help you get to those answers quicker. So I wanted to highlight one report that I thought was kind of timely with AWS reInvent that just happened. And I imagine most of you that are watching this have at least one workload in AWS. So wanted to focus on the AWS services overview report. So this one is one of my favorites. It contains many visualizations that help you understand how each AWS service is consumed within your organization. And then since we did recently introduce paged reports, each page contains a different service and data that is associated with each. So things like EC2, EBS, Fargate, et cetera, et cetera. And so this report, it allows you to identify the cost and usage for those individual AWS services and identify the trends and anomalies in AWS services consumption. And like I said, we design these reports for specific personas. So this one specifically is designed for folks in the Cloud Center of Excellence, operations staff, products and service owners, and then resource managers. And then it answers very specific questions that are very common from what we hear across our customer base. So things like, how can I see my Fargate costs? Or what details can I see related to S3 buckets? Or how can I see my EBS snapshots or GP2 and GP3 volumes, and so forth and so forth. So again, like the benefit of this out of the box content is to allow you to get to those answers and to ultimately have a starting point when you start like your reporting journey. And you don't need to use these like as is, like sure you can use them since they are pre-configured, but you can duplicate them and make further customizations or modifications to fit your specific needs as well. But again, it's a great starting point to start driving value from your Apptio subscription.
Yeah, it's a lot faster time to value, right? When you can start with the template and then pull the data rather than having to like build it all from scratch. It's really great. And Curtis, I think that what you just talked about really does highlight like the potential value that these can bring. And, I know that your team has been working on this really, really hard for a long time. The example that you gave, that is for pulling data from Cloudability right into that template. Is that right?
Yeah, so the AWS services overview is specifically pulling in your Cloudability cost and usage data, but we do have reports that are for our other products. So being able to pull like your Apptio One plan and Apptio One cost data into these like out of the box reports, we certainly have those as well, and they're available based off of your Apptio subscription.
And you guys, again, you're rolling these out like on a constant basis. So I look forward to seeing and hearing more about the different ones that are coming. We've been highlighting those here on the feature as they drop out. But Curtis, before we go here, man, let's talk a little bit tell us a little bit about a sneak preview. What's coming for Apptio BI in the next year or so as we look forward to the future, man. You said that you had a couple of things you wanted to touch on. I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, certainly. So there's definitely a lot of exciting things to definitely get out of bed and get excited about. So starting like high level, like some of like our core investment themes are around first, like what you mentioned, like increasing and expanding that library of Apptio authored content to ultimately address like more personas, more use cases and outcomes. And then number two is like integrating Apptio BI's reporting layer across the core product families and becoming that primary reporting layer for Apptio's products. And then more on like the customization interactivity side, we look to add like additional visualizations like tree maps and like those interactive components. So let me highlight some of those like interactive features. One that I'm really excited about and a lot of our customers have asked for is those report level filters that are based on dimensions like vendor selection. So like being able to see the world of just AWS or just wanting to see like your Azure spend, et cetera. So being able to do that. And then kind of building on top of that, we also will be working on a feature called the global date filter, which will allow you to easily toggle between periods of time across an entire report. What we've heard from a lot of customers is that it's really time consuming to have to edit every single visualization to create like a more current or updated time period versus being able to do that on the report level where all the visualizations within that report update to that defined date selection.
Right.
Then also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's great.
Yeah, so just kind of on the theme of interactivity, like what's also going to be really exciting is being able to interact with hierarchical data in tables and ultimately see those subtotals. So this is pretty exciting because it'll allow you to easily view and understand the total value for a specific data set while still having the flexibility of understanding those lower levels of data. And then, of course, there's many more exciting like features. I don't want to completely boil the ocean here.
Sure.
It's great because we get to work with all of our customers to ultimately help like drive and influence these features and kind of how we build and design them in Apptio BI. So we'll continue to build that strong partnership.
Well, I think you guys are doing such a good job, you and your team, of hitting so many different use cases across for all of our different customers and the way that they're interacting with those reports. You talked about those customization enhancements as well as, that interactivity and everything. I look forward to seeing more of that being built into the solution. I know our customers do too. So Curtis, thank you so much again for your time today. You want to say anything before you sign off here? And just really appreciate you coming on to the feature.
Nothing else on my end, but I appreciate it. And I thank you everyone that is using Apptio BI and providing this feedback. It makes us better and sets the standard for us. So I appreciate that.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate your time. Stay tuned here for those additional enhancements and everything else that's coming with the solution. Thanks, Curtis. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too, Hunter. Thank you.
All right, great. Yep. Thanks again for your time, Curtis. I have a screenshot of just kind of what the selection for these templates look like. There's a whole lot of them. We're adding more again on a regular rolling basis. So keep checking that out. Check back here for some more updates that we're going to be adding to them, etc. I'll keep talking about them here on the feature for you. The next thing and close to last thing here that I wanted to touch on was our time at AWS reInvent. I had a great time at the booth. I got a little picture there, and we had Software One do a presentation at our booth, but we had a lot of different booth presentations. We were giving away $200 Amazon gift cards like crazy and a ton of swag like that hat I'm wearing there in the picture. And we also had our session, which was a fantastic session. We got a great feedback from People that were existing customers, but also just people that were there at reInvent. A lot of great feedback from the people in that session about it. We had Marisa Bannigan and Ashley Hermatko and Vic Saluja talking about how Cigna, we were using Cigna as an example really, but Cigna was able to take the KPIs basically in the process frameworks that the FinOps Foundation has built out for optimizing costs in the cloud and utilize Apptio to implement them in their organization. So this was a rich, basically case study on how they were able to do that, sharing their strategy and the processes that the steps that they took to implement these processes and the savings that they were able to extract in the cloud, right? Basically the optimized costs through using Apptio solutions and applying FinOps principles to do that. So we're going to share a link out to this, but if you type in PRT255 into YouTube, it'll be the first search result. That's PRT255. Just type that into YouTube search. It'll pop the session up right there. There's a ton of value in this session, so I highly recommend you do it. And that's the last thing I wanted to touch on today, except for thanking you for tuning in here. As always, our product updates are available in the Help Center. If you go to navigate to the product section, click What's New, and then it'll the updates will show up in that What's New section under the product section in Help Center. We also have information increasingly in the Apptio community where we're sharing more details about updates and providing a lot more screenshots, videos, walkthroughs, and things like that. So check out the Apptio community. Dive into there if you haven't recently. There's a lot more content in there now. And as always, we really appreciate you liking, sharing on social here. Make some comments, ask questions. We love to engage with you, and we look forward to doing that. And again, we really appreciate you tuning in today, and I'll see you next month.